What is that? What's a metalsmith? Is it like a blacksmith? Hi everyone, and welcome to this episode of Meet the Maker Mondays. I'm Sarah Harvell, the metalsmith and maker behind Ravenna Metalworks. And today I'm going to be sharing with you the difference between a blacksmith and a metalsmith. Because when people ask me what I do for a living, I tell them I'm a metalsmith. And that gets a lot of confused looks. Like, what? What is that? What's a metalsmith? Is it like a blacksmith? And that's okay, because a lot of people are more familiar with blacksmithing. So I think in order to define or help people understand what a metalsmith is, I need to define what a blacksmith is and then what's the difference between the two. So blacksmithing uses ferrous metals, not like Ferris Bueller. Ferrous as in Ferrous, and that means iron-based metals. And how you treat them is very different from non-ferrous metals, which is copper, silver, gold, titanium, etc. And that's what metalsmiths use. So that's why I'm able to have a metalsmithing studio in my apartment instead of a giant forge out in my backyard. So blacksmiths use ferrous metals and metalsmiths use non-ferrous metals. So metalsmithing is a very broad term for a lot of different things that people utilize those non-ferrous metals for. There are people that are very specific, like coppersmiths, silversmiths, goldsmiths, meaning they exclusively only use those metals in their work or a majority of their work. And a lot of people ask me like, well, why don't you call yourself one of those? Because I use all metal I can get my hands on. I use copper, brass, aluminum, argentium, silver, gold if I can afford it. And so that's why I refer to myself as a metalsmith, because it is a more broad term. That's why I named my brand name Ravenna Metalworks instead of Ravenna Jewelry or anything really specific, because I wanted to leave my creative options wide open and not have to worry about a brand name change later if I decided to go in a different creative direction. And so it's fun when I tell people what I do and I get those confused looks and I'm able to educate them about something new. And usually those conversations are really fun because they're very interested, very intrigued, like, oh wow, that's really cool. I've never met anybody that does that. But there's a lot of us. We're out there. There's many of us, metalsmiths, but we'll call each other jewelers or coppersmiths, silversmiths, goldsmiths, makers. So it's really up to the individual. So I identify as a metalsmith. So yeah, that's the difference between a blacksmith and a metalsmith. So thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Meet the Maker Mondays. I'll see you next week. Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Meet the Maker Mondays. I am Sarah Harvell, the metalsmith and maker behind Ravenna Metalworks. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, and if you're on social, like, follow, and share.